Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into something I think we can all agree is pretty important. Best friendships.
Yeah, those really special bonds.
Exactly. We've got some great material to work with. A guide on making best friends, research on their benefits, and even a couple of short stories that I think bring it all to life.
Sounds fascinating.
You've all been telling us how much you value these friendships.
Uh,
So we really wanted to take a closer look at how they work and why they matter so much. Beyond just saying, oh yeah, best friends are great.
right, getting into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. So let's jump right in. This guide, How to Make Best Friends. It starts with something that seems pretty basic. Be genuine.
Yeah, makes sense. We all want friends who are real with us, right?
Totally.
Mhm.
But the guide digs a little deeper. It talks about how being genuine builds trust. And I was thinking about it. Like, why is that?
Well, it actually has to do with our brains. When we're open and honest with someone, it triggers these things called mirror neurons in their brain.
Mirror neural.
Yeah, basically they make the other person feel what we're feeling. So when we're genuine, it creates this instant connection. And they're more likely to open up to us, too.
So it's like a feedback loop.
Exactly.
That's so cool. I never knew that.
Yeah.
But okay, let's say you're meeting someone new. Do you just like spill all your secrets right away?
Haha, no, not exactly. It's about finding that balance. Being genuine doesn't mean oversharing on the first meeting. It's more about being comfortable enough to let your true personality shine through.
So like your sense of humor or the things you're passionate about?
Exactly. The things that make you you.
Gotcha. So it's more about being yourself than giving someone your entire life story up front.
Right. Letting those walls down gradually as you get to know each other.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm.
The guide also talks about being a good listener, which seems pretty obvious, but
It's more important than we realize.
I was going to say, I think we've all been in those conversations where you can just tell the other person isn't really listening.
Ugh, the worst.
And it makes you feel like your thoughts and feelings don't matter.
Exactly. Active listening is crucial. Really being present in the conversation, asking questions, trying to understand the other person's point of view.
And that takes effort.
It does, but it's worth it because it shows the other person that you care and that you value their thoughts and feelings.
So it's like an investment in the relationship.
Exactly. And that ties into the next point in the guide, spending quality time together.
So it's not just about like randomly bumping into someone at the grocery store.
Right. It's about making time for each other,
Mm.
sharing experiences, whether it's grabbing coffee, going for a hike, or just having a deep conversation.
And creating those memories.
Those shared experiences become the foundation of a strong friendship.
I'm thinking about all the fun times I've had with my best friends.
Yeah.
Those inside jokes
Yeah,
that we still laugh about years later.
absolutely. It's those moments that bring us closer and make the friendship unique.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about being genuine, being a good listener, spending quality time. What else does this guide recommend?
Well, it also emphasizes celebrating each other's successes and being there during tough times.
Yeah, this seems pretty fundamental to any close friendship.
It is. And there's a reason why these actions are so impactful. When we celebrate each other's wins, it reinforces the idea that we're on the same team.
That we're genuinely happy for each other.
Exactly. And when we show up for each other during those difficult times, it deepens the trust and strengthens the foundation of the relationship.
It's like saying I'm here for you no matter what.
Right. It's about being that person they can always count on.
I'm curious, though. I know it's great to be enthusiastic about someone's achievements, but could being overly enthusiastic, even if you're genuine, be overwhelming for some people?
That's a great point. You're right. Everyone has different comfort levels with expressing and receiving emotions.
So it's important to be sensitive to that,
Exactly. Being attuned to your friends' cues and adjusting your approach accordingly.
finding that balance.
Exactly. Now, this whole idea of being supportive, it brings us to a crucial concept, social support systems.
Okay, I've heard that term before, but can you explain what it actually means? Like in the context of friendships?
Sure. Think of it as having a team of cheerleaders in your life. People who are there to support you. Offer a hug when you're down. Practical help when you're overwhelmed. Celebrate your wins as if they were their own.
Okay, that makes sense.
Your best friends become key players on that team. They provide emotional support, validation, and even practical assistance when you need it most.
So it's like having a built-in network of people who have your back.
Exactly. And research has shown that these strong social connections, especially best friendships, they have a profound impact on our well-being.
Really? In what ways?
They're linked to everything from reduced stress to a longer lifespan. One study even found that having close friends can be as beneficial for our health as quitting smoking.
Wow, okay, that's pretty amazing. Makes you realize how important these relationships really are.
It does.
And speaking of the benefits of friendship, the source material we have lists a whole bunch of them. Emotional support, increased happiness, personal growth. But the one that really jumped out at me was the link between friendships and a reduced risk of depression.
That's a crucial point. It highlights the profound impact that friendships have on our mental health. Humans are social creatures. We're wired to connect with others. And best friends provide a sense of belonging, purpose, connection, all of which can act as buffers against feelings of loneliness and isolation.
Which are major factors that contribute to depression.
Exactly.
This reminds me of a time when I was going through a really tough time, and just having my best friend to talk to, someone who truly understood what I was going through, it made such a difference.
That's a perfect example of how those close connections can be a lifeline during those challenging times. Simply knowing that you're not alone, that someone cares and understands what you're going through, it can be incredibly powerful.
It's like having that safe space to just be yourself and let it all out. Wow, this is all starting to feel very profound. We've covered a lot of ground already, from the importance of authenticity and active listening to the incredible benefits these friendships bring. But now I'm really curious to see how these ideas play out in the actual stories you shared.
Me too. I think they offer a fascinating glimpse into the real-life dynamics of these relationships.
So let's dive into the first story, The Power of Best Friendship. It follows the journey of Lucy and Sam. Are you ready?
Let's do it. I'm curious to see how those abstract concepts we've been discussing come to life in their story.
Me too. Okay, so the story starts with Lucy and Sam as kids, bonding over their shared love of art and adventure.
Right away, we see that idea of shared experiences in action.
Totally. They're not just sitting around talking, they're out exploring, creating, getting their hands dirty. It reminds me of that point about quality time being so important.
Absolutely. Those shared experiences become the foundation of their bond. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We also see Lucy struggling with self-doubt as she tries to develop her artistic talent.
Yeah, this is where Sam's support really shines through. He's constantly encouraging her, reminding her of her talent, and never letting her give up on her dreams.
And that's such a powerful example of how those seemingly small acts of encouragement can have a ripple effect throughout a friend's life. Sam's belief in Lucy helps her overcome her insecurities and ultimately leads her to achieve her dream of becoming a painter.
It's like he saw something in her that she didn't even see in herself.
And he helped her bring it to life.
That's so beautiful. What else stood out to you about their story?
Well, I also noticed how their individual strengths complemented each other. Lucy's artistic talent and Sam's outgoing personality. They created this dynamic where they could each learn and grow from the other's perspective.
That's a great point. It wasn't just about supporting each other through difficulties. It was also about encouraging each other's unique talents and passions.
Exactly. And that brings us to an important aspect of best friendships that we haven't explicitly discussed yet. Acceptance.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
True best friends accept us for who we are, flaws and all. They celebrate our quirks and embrace our individuality, creating a safe space for us to be our authentic selves.
That makes so much sense. It's like that saying, a true friend loves you for who you are, but also helps you become who you're meant to be.
Exactly.
I love that. Now that we've seen the power of shared experiences and support in Lucy and Sam's friendship, I'm curious to explore a different flavor of best friendship in Sarah and Ethan's story. This one felt a little different to me.
It does. While it echoes those same themes of mutual support and shared experiences, there's a stronger emphasis on adventure and exploration in Sarah and Ethan's relationship.
Yes, I noticed that too. From their first meeting in that bookstore, a place already brimming with a sense of discovery, to their literal journey to that remote village, their friendship is marked by this constant pursuit of new experiences. It's like they're pushing each other to grow and expand their horizons.
And I think that's a really important point. Their story highlights the willingness to step outside of your comfort zone and embrace new experiences together.
Which can be scary.
It can be, but it's also incredibly rewarding, especially when you have a best friend by your side.
So it's like those shared challenges actually bring you closer.
Exactly. They learn to rely on each other to problem solve together. And ultimately, that shared experience deepens their connection in a way that simply hanging out at home might not have.
It's like the saying, the best view comes after the hardest climb.
Exactly.
But those challenges can also bring up fears and insecurities. Remember how Sarah panicked when they got lost in the woods? That felt so relatable to me.
Yes. That moment beautifully illustrates the power of emotional support within a best friendship. Ethan didn't dismiss Sarah's fear. He acknowledged it, reassured her, and together they found a solution.
It's like he created that safe space for her to express her fear without judgment.
Exactly. And that kind of support can build incredible resilience and self-confidence, knowing that someone has your back no matter what.
Okay, so we've talked about the practical steps to building strong friendships, the amazing benefits these friendships bring, and we've even analyzed two very different stories that illustrate these points in action. But I think it's important to acknowledge that friendships, even the best ones, aren't always easy.
You're right.
There will be ups and downs, disagreements, maybe even times when we drift apart.
Absolutely. It would be unrealistic to expect a best friendship to be smooth sailing all the time. Just like any relationship, there will be challenges, conflicts, and moments where we need to put in extra effort to stay connected.
So how do we navigate those tricky waters without damaging the friendship? I'm thinking about those times when we disagree with our friends, maybe even hurt each other's feelings unintentionally. How do we work through those tough spots?
That's a great question, and honestly something I think we all struggle with from time to time. It's easy to talk about the joys of friendship, but what about those messy moments that inevitably pop up?
Right, like how do we deal with conflict in a healthy way?
Well, I think the key is to remember that even best friends are still individuals. With their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences, we're not always going to see eye to eye, and that's okay.
So how do we navigate those differences without causing lasting damage?
Communication is key. It sounds simple, but so often we avoid those difficult conversations for fear of hurting someone's feelings or creating conflict. But open, honest communication is essential for any healthy relationship.
So it's about being willing to have those tough conversations,
Yeah.
but doing it in a way that's respectful and understanding.
Exactly. It's about expressing your own feelings clearly, but also being a good listener and trying to see things from the other person's perspective. Remember, it's not about winning the argument. It's about finding a resolution that works for both of you.
That makes me think about those times when maybe I haven't been the best friend. Maybe I was too busy or distracted to really listen. Or I let a small disagreement fester instead of addressing it head on. Is it ever too late to repair those kinds of rifts?
It's never too late to try. Sometimes simply acknowledging your mistakes and expressing a genuine desire to repair the friendship can go a long way.
So reach out, apologize if necessary, and reaffirm your commitment to the friendship.
Exactly. And remember, friendships, like individuals, evolve over time. What worked for the friendship 5 years ago might not work today, and that's okay.
So we have to be flexible and adaptable.
The key is to communicate, to adjust, and to find new ways to connect that honor the growth and evolution of both individuals.
It's like those friendships that stand the test of time are the ones that can bend and flex with the inevitable changes that life throws our way.
Exactly.
We've talked about the importance of communication, navigating conflict, and adapting to change. But is there anything else we should keep in mind as we nurture these precious friendships?
I think it's important to remember that friendships, like any living thing, need to be nurtured.
Okay, so we have to be intentional about it. What does that look like in practice?
It can be as simple as sending a quick text to say you're thinking of them, sharing a funny meme that reminded you of them, or just taking a few minutes to truly listen when they're going through a tough time. These small acts of care can make a big difference.
It's about those little moments of connection that remind each other, hey, I'm here for you.
Exactly. It's also about being proactive. Don't wait for them to reach out. Take the initiative to make plans, even if it's just for a virtual coffee date or a walk in the park.
And sometimes it's about making a grand gesture, planning a surprise birthday party, showing up with a pint of ice cream after a bad breakup, or just being there to listen without judgment when they need to vent.
Yes, all those things matter. Best friendships are a gift, a source of joy, support, and growth. But like any precious gift, they deserve to be cherished and cared for.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. We've explored the science behind these bonds, analyzed heartwarming stories, and even gained some practical tips for nurturing our own friendships. But before we sign off, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the power of shared experiences. The two stories we explored today highlight how those shared moments, whether they're grand adventures or everyday occurrences, can forge deep and lasting connections.
It makes you realize how much those seemingly small moments can matter. A late-night conversation, a shared meal, a silly inside joke. Those experiences become the threads that weave the tapestry of a friendship.
So before we go, we want to leave you with one final thought. What shared experiences have been most meaningful in your closest relationships? How have those experiences shaped who you are today?
Take some time to reflect on that question and perhaps even share your reflections with those friends who have made those experiences so special.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of best friendships. We hope it's given you a deeper appreciation for the incredible power of these bonds and inspired you to nurture the friendships that bring so much richness to your life. And a huge thank you to you for sharing your expertise and insights with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
So the story starts with Lucy and Sam as kids, you know, bonding over their shared love of art and adventure.
Right away, we see that idea of shared experiences in action. Like it's not just talking, it's doing things together, creating memories.
Exactly. And their shared experiences become the foundation of their bond. It's not always easy, though. We see Lucy struggling with self-doubt as she's trying to, develop her artistic talent.
Yeah, and that's where Sam's support is so important. He's always encouraging her, reminding her of her strengths, never letting her give up.
And this is where celebrating each other's successes comes in. It's not just about being nice. It actually has a real impact on their lives. Sam's belief in Lucy helps her overcome those insecurities, and eventually she achieves her dream of becoming a painter.
It's like those small acts of encouragement can make such a big difference.
Exactly. They can have a ripple effect.
I love that. What else did you notice about their friendship?
Well, I thought it was interesting how their individual strengths complemented each other. Lucy is more artistic and Sam is more outgoing.
Right.
It creates this dynamic where they can learn and grow from each other.
Yeah, their differences actually make their bond stronger.
And that brings us to another important aspect of best friendships: acceptance. True friends accept us for who we are, flaws and all.
Yeah, they embrace our quirks and celebrate our individuality.
It's like having a safe space to be your true self.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've seen the power of shared experiences and support in Lucy and Sam's story. Now let's move on to Sarah and Ethan. This one felt a little different to me.
Yeah, it does.
There's a bigger emphasis on adventure and exploration in their friendship.
Right, from their first meeting in that bookstore, which is already a place of discovery,
Yeah.
to their trip to that remote village. It's like they're constantly seeking out new experiences.
Yeah, and I think that highlights another crucial aspect of best friendships, the willingness to step outside of your comfort zone and try new things together.
It's like they're pushing each other to grow and expand their horizons.
And that journey with all its challenges and unexpected turns, it becomes a metaphor for their friendship itself.
Yeah, it's like they're figuring things out together.
They learn to rely on each other, problem solve together.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that shared experience deepens their connection in a way that staying home might not have.
Those challenges make their bond stronger.
But those challenges can also bring up fears and insecurities. Remember when Sarah panicked when they got lost in the woods?
Yeah, that felt so real, like we've all been there. Right. And in that moment, we see the power of emotional support. Ethan doesn't dismiss Sarah's fear. He acknowledges it, reassures her, and together they find a solution.
It's like that feeling of knowing someone has your back, no matter what.
Exactly. And that sense of reliability is so important. It creates a foundation of security and allows us to take risks, knowing that even if we stumble, we have someone to help us back up.
Okay, so we've talked about the practical steps to building strong friendships, the amazing benefits these friendships bring, and we've even analyzed two very different stories that show us how these things play out in real life. But I think it's also important to acknowledge that friendships, even the best ones, aren't always easy.
Yeah, definitely.
There will be ups and downs, disagreements, maybe even times when we drift apart.
That's just part of life.
So how do we navigate those tricky waters without damaging the friendship? Those times when we disagree with our friends or maybe even hurt each other's feelings unintentionally. How do we work through those things?
It's tricky, right? Because you want to be honest, but you don't want to jeopardize the friendship.
Exactly. So how do you find that balance?
I think the key is remembering that even best friends are different people. They're going to have different perspectives and opinions, and sometimes we're going to disagree, and that's okay.
It's like allowing each other space to be individuals.
Exactly. And when those disagreements do come up, communication is key.
Okay, so talk it out.
Yeah, but it's not just about talking, it's about really listening. Trying to see things from their point of view, putting yourself in their shoes.
So it's like having empathy for their perspective.
Exactly. And remembering that it's not about being right or wrong. It's about finding a solution that works for both of you.
So compromise.
Yeah, and sometimes that means apologizing if you've hurt their feelings, or admitting that you were wrong.
Which can be hard.
It can be. But it's important to remember that friendships aren't about keeping score. It's about supporting each other and growing together.
This makes me think about those times when maybe I haven't been the best friend. Like maybe I was too busy or distracted to really listen. Or I let a small disagreement fester instead of addressing it head on. Is it ever too late to repair those kinds of rifts?
It's never too late to try. Just acknowledging your mistakes and expressing a genuine desire to make things right can go a long way. A simple apology can be really powerful.
And reaffirming your commitment to the friendship.
Exactly. And remember, friendships, like people evolve over time. What worked for the friendship 5 years ago might not work today.
Right, we have to be willing to adapt and adjust as we grow and change.
The key is to keep communicating, keep adjusting, and find new ways to connect that honor the evolution of both people.
So those friendships that last are the ones that can weather the storms and come out even stronger on the other side.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered so much ground today. From the science of these bonds to the heartwarming stories and even practical tips for strengthening our own friendships. But before we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with something to think about. We talked about the power of shared experiences, how those moments, big or small, can shape a friendship.
Yeah, they become those threads that weave the tapestry of a relationship.
Exactly. So I want you to think about your own friendships. What shared experiences have been most meaningful for you? How have those experiences shaped who you are today?
And maybe even share those reflections with those friends who have made those experiences so special.
That's a great idea. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of best friendships. And a huge thank you to you for sharing your insights with us.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, keep diving deep.